welcome back to another episode of Minecraft Mediumcore. I promise this is not going to be another tree episode. Today I'm just going to go through my entire base and fill in all the little gaps like this one. Whether it's putting in a tree, putting in a market stall, or something as simple as here, probably putting in just some grass and some flowers. Wherever I need it to be, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take all these gaps, all these voids in the builds. I'm going to correct them. I'm gonna fix them. I'm gonna put something there so it's not incredibly boring. It doesn't have to be eye-catching. It doesn't have to be big. It just needs to fill the gap. So yes, that does mean a couple trees, but I'm gonna do that all at once because this is not another tree episode. The larger scale of this tree very much made it harder to do. It still doesn't look that great, especially from other angles. It's still not the worst tree, but it's not the best either. Certainly not the best. Unfortunately, won't be seeing much of it since it's just kind of a background. We see of it what we need to see. It fills the gap. That's all it needs to do, and it's not the only tree. There's one other tree. I think I said I originally wanted 3 trees, but I've only made 2. That's okay. But I also made this tree, and I'm much more happy with this tree. I think this tree turned out quite well. Just a little tree tucked in this corner. And that concludes the tree segment of this episode. Hopefully I will never have to build a tree again because I'm very bad at it. But now I want to go through and just put up small little market stalls like one here, and probably in other places. I don't want to have just one, but not a lot of them, because I have an entire market for that purpose. But just 1 or 2. And yeah, and that's what's next. I got to think about what I'm going to do after that. But that's where I'm going to start. I've done a bit more work, primarily on this part of the base, just this thin little strip of the base, because it was just looking really plain on this side of the road. But I fixed that. So first off, just put in a little grass to give the area some texture, and then in front of the stables, built a little market stall as I said I would, 2 saddles for sale, well, for rent more likely. It's got the same cyan colors as the roof, thought it was fitting, and it just fills the space. Over here I've done pretty much the same thing, just put in more grass, and then I've put in another little market stall in front of this old condemned building where the sugarcane factory used to be, well, still is. And then they're selling the remnants of their product. They've got a little magenta overhang. That's just the color I chose. And then yeah, I put in a lot of grass and some flowers and even some leaves in this area, because this was entirely flat and it just kind of pained me to walk by, but now it's got a little bit more texture. Even though there's nothing in the actual gap, it's got more texture, so now it looks more complete than before, because before it looked incomplete. And then, not as important, but just more grass in more areas, so I don't have any, well, not so I don't have any, but so I don't have as much flat terrain. So that's what I did, and yeah, that was pretty much only on this strip of land here, this side of the road, because that's where it needed it the most. Everywhere else is pretty much fine. I'm leaving right here blank for now, for future expansion, and then I'll detail it when I do that. But yeah, so that's that done. And I only have one thing left that I really want to do, and that's build a small guard post here, and then a much larger one at the corner of the road. Back, I can't get through that way. Much larger guard post here, maybe a couple tents, a little campfire, just something a little. Well, actually, no. This is the wilderness. I'll get just small little buildings. Alright, I did it. I've got my guard towers in place. The first one's just right here along the coast. I think it actually fits kind of nicely right here with this broken down stone aesthetic, and it does do a good job of filling this gap. It's just a short little thing. Little minimal interior, crossbow, actually with a firework in it, as less of a weapon and more of like an alarm system, kind of. So that if the guard in there sees like either a prisoner getting out or just something that shouldn't be there, they can shoot off the firework and then load in any arrows that they have. And then can't really easily get into it except from that door, so it's not going to be easy to attack the guard. It's just a short little guard tower here protecting the stables and protecting the city from this prison over here. And then I've done the same thing over here around back on this corner. I've actually done 2 guard towers. And then a little area in between. But I figured, because it was such a big space, it'd make sense to have 2 guard towers. One facing this way. View of that road. They also got, oops, crap. Oh no, it lost the invisible tag! I'll fix that later. Maybe. But they've also got their own firework crossbow. And then this one is the same thing. All these guard towers are the same. Firework crossbow for alarm. And that way they all know what the signal is for escape or danger in general. And then down here, just a little campfire area. They're cooking some soup with two little log stools. And how I kind of pictured this is instead of this being for 2 guards, this being for 4 guards in a rotation of 2. So 2 are on top guarding, and then 2 are cooking a meal, and then they swap, etc. So on and so forth until the end of time. The only thing I wish is that we could put soup in cauldrons, because water just, it's not the same. Like, I know the intended purpose of the cauldron is for, well, the original intended purpose of the cauldron was for brewing, to fill water bottles. But then they made it so you can put lava in cauldrons and powdered snow in cauldrons, so it's not just for that anymore. And in Bedrock Edition, you can dye the water and you can put potions in it. And I think that's a cool mechanic, and I think they should add that to Java. But I also wish that they would add the ability to put soup in cauldrons, because I think that makes sense, and I think it would look cool. So you could have something like this that actually kind of fits. But from a distance, it looks fine. So that's that. And actually, that's all I've done. But it does a good job of filling the space. And it doesn't look out of place. It does look like something you would see in a place like this, in this kind of city. Just little guard towers for the safekeeping of the people. And market stalls, grass, guard towers, a couple trees. That's everything I've needed to add. All the little gaps are filled. And even though this episode's going to be a bit shorter, because there wasn't as much to it, just a lot of small builds, very small, that's it. In the next episode, I'll be finally doing some roadway expansions to lay the way for bigger builds. But until then, that's it. So that's all I'm going to do for today's episode of Minecraft Mediumcore. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.